let's talk about Colin Kaepernick's 6-year, $110 million deal. Now, that's a huge number in itself, but $61 million of this is guaranteed. I believe that puts him above Albert Haynesworth as the most guaranteed money of all time. So
That's a lot. Like, how are they going to deal with the cap from that? It's got to be sucking up a lot of the money right there.
yeah, that's going to be like a $20 million, $22 million cap hit a year, and that you have 56 players on your game roster. I mean, not your game roster,
That's
but
like
your
taking out 10
year
players.
roster. Yeah, that's more than 10 players in some cases. That's like 20, 30. You know, that's like 2/3 of your team right there if you just count the special teamers and stuff. You know, so
You
it's a
remember
big
too all
deal.
the talk, all the talk from the last few years about the Cowboys and Redskins with their $36 million hit on their cap, and how they could have, all the different positions they could have paid for with those $36 million. And this is, 20 per year from one guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're seeing this trend happen. I mean, you had Joe Flacco got the $20 million a year. I believe Tom Brady makes close to it. I know Aaron Rodgers makes $20 million. Peyton Manning definitely makes about $20 million a year. Drew Brees makes $20 million a year. I mean, these guys are actually legit, like, established talents, though. So giving it to Colin Kaepernick was, yes, I'm not going to say he hasn't had a great start to his career. He has. He's taken that team to 2 straight NFC championships, 1 Super Bowl in that span. Didn't win the Super Bowl. Didn't win it. Just going to say that. Didn't win it. Because I actually think RG3 should be the. I'm going to get into that later. But so he has had a good career. But you got to think that if he didn't have that voracious. What word am I looking for here, Brendan?
Ferocious?
No. It's like
Okay.
voracious. I'm just going to say ferocious defense and just make it easy there. So, ferocious defense, I mean, just hitting every quarterback, making it easy for him just to hand the ball off and run it. I don't think he's as good. Like, if you put him on, like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Jacksonville Jaguars or who was the worst team in the league last year? The Houston Texans. Actually, they had a good defense, so maybe they're all right. But
Browns? Well, the Browns are always a good bet.
hey, Browns. Put him on the Browns, and he's done. That's it. He's done. So, I mean, I think they kind of overpaid, and what really disturbs me about this is that what's this going to look like for the rest of the deals for the next batch of young quarterbacks coming right behind him? Because you got to look at Cam Newton. He's still looking for a new deal. He's in the same class as Colin Kaepernick, and his stats on a bad team has been a lot better. So is he going to say, well, I deserve a lot more than that because I play better than him? I just haven't been on quite as good of teams, except for last year. I mean, they got the second seed in the playoffs from the NFC. So what's going to happen there? And then you have the next group with RG3, Russell Wilson, and Andrew Luck coming up right behind them. And what's going to happen with those guys? Are they going to say, well, those guys got 20, 22 million. I need 25 million? I mean, what are we looking at? This
Honestly,
escalation?
I think at this point in professional sports, everyone understands enough that best players does not always mean best paid. It's about all other kinds of negotiations, what the team has available, what other benefits like prospects of actually getting to a Super Bowl and things like that are out there, and just what someone happens to be willing to pay for how you fit into their team, and maybe sometimes just having a good agent who negotiates this well. So,
well, a good agent definitely is a great thing to have, and you're right. I mean, the best players aren't always the best paid. You look at running backs in the league just recently, the past 5 to 7 years. I mean, it used to be those were the highest paid players on your roster. Now, those are some of the. I mean, they're paid good. Don't get me wrong, but they're paid good once and then they're thrown away. I mean, these guys are being kicked to the curb on the regular, and the quarterbacks is just. I guess really, if you look back at all the rule changes and how it makes it so it's more of a passing league, you're seeing that shift into the quarterbacks. You need to have that elite passer, and if you don't, you got no shot. So
yeah, we might be seeing the need that elite passer that can also run a bit. So starting to see that more anyway. Although maybe that's kind of starting to die down as the defenses get used to the read option and start,
which is always going to happen. I mean, somebody's going to come up with one thing. I mean, for a long time, you saw, like, I believe in the 70s, you had these big, tall receivers running down the field like gazelles, you know, and so the cornerbacks were a little smaller. Because they were used to smaller receivers, and then they started getting bigger. And then you saw the receivers start to get smaller, and they'd be faster and zippier in the 80s. And then so the cornerbacks got a little smaller and faster. And then you saw, and it's going back to where it's the wide receivers are these giant mammoths, and now you have all the cornerbacks being bigger and bigger. Just it's the evolution of the game. The positions just change because of what you said. Offenses try something new, defenses counteract that. Offenses try something new, defenses counteract that. So it's a pretty cool back and forth. And that is why American football is the best sport in the world. Hands down, bar none. Yeah.